The crowd roared like a pack of starving beasts as Maya Chen stepped into the steel cage, her bare feet making no sound against the cold metal grating. 20,000 alien spectators filled the massive arena, their various forms of vocal apparatus, creating a symphony of anticipation that would have terrified any sane person. Maya, she was grinning. Ladies, gentlemen, and assorted biological anomalies. The announcer's voice boomed through translators embedded in every seat. Tonight we witnessed something truly special. A human female, barely past her species' adolescence, has volunteered to face our reigning champion in single combat. The Valkyrian sitting in the front row nudged his companion with one of his 6 arms. This should be entertaining. I've never seen a human die before. Oh, you're in for a treat, his friend replied, mandibles clicking with amusement. I heard they make the most amusing sounds when their bones break. Maya heard every word through her neural implant. Her grin widened. The cage door slammed shut behind her with a metallic clang that echoed through the arena like a death knell. Across the fighting pit, another door groaned open, and the crowd's roar reached a fever pitch. What emerged from the shadows made grown Zephyrians wet themselves and caused hardened Korth warriors to reach for their weapons. Krex the Bone Crusher stood 8 feet tall, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming under the harsh arena lights. For massive arms ended in claws that could slice through starship hull plating. His species, the Thrakkery, were known throughout the galaxy for 2 things: their incredible strength and their complete lack of mercy. Krex had killed 47 opponents in this very arena, and the betting pools were already calculating how many pieces Maya would be in when they scraped her off the floor. "Behold," the announcer continued, his voice dripping with theatrical enthusiasm, "Krex the Bone Crusher, undefeated champion of the Proxima Fighting Pits, slayer of the mighty Gorlin, destroyer of the Iron Twins. And tonight he faces, well, let's be honest, a rather small human female who probably should have stayed home." The crowd erupted in laughter. Maya's jaw tightened, but her smile never wavered. Krex approached the center of the arena with the confidence of a predator who had never known defeat. His massive form cast a shadow over Maya as she stood barely 5 feet tall, looking like a child next to the armored giant. The size difference was so absurd that even the bloodthirsty crowd began to murmur with discomfort. "Human," Krex spoke, his voice like grinding stone. "You have made a grave error coming here. I will make your death quick if you kneel now and beg for mercy." Maya looked up at him, her dark eyes reflecting the arena lights. "Quick? Oh, sweetie, you're absolutely right about that. This is going to be very quick indeed." The Bone Crusher's laugh rumbled through the arena. "Your species amuses me with their delusions. I have crushed warriors 3 times your size." "Congratulations," Maya replied, rolling her shoulders and cracking her neck. "Want a cookie?" The crowd loved it. Here was a human, clearly about to die, still making jokes. How wonderfully primitive. The referee, a nervous Centauri official who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else in the galaxy, stepped between them. "Fighters, you know the rules. No weapons, no outside assistance. Fight until one cannot continue. May the strongest survive." He scurried out of the cage faster than his stubby legs should have allowed. Krex immediately went on the offensive, his forearms moving in a blurred destruction. Any normal opponent would have been reduced to paste in the first second. Maya, however, wasn't any normal opponent. She moved like liquid mercury, flowing around his attacks with an almost supernatural grace. Each massive fist passed through empty air as she danced around him, her movements so fluid they seemed to defy physics. "Stand still, coward," Krex bellowed, his frustration mounting as every strike missed his target. "Sorry, big guy," Maya called out, ducking under a swipe that would have decapitated a small tree. "I didn't realize we were playing statue. My bad." The crowd was beginning to take notice. This wasn't going according to script. The human should have been dead already, yet here she was, making the galaxy's most feared fighter look clumsy. Murmurs rippled through the stands. Krex's attacks became more desperate, more wild. His massive claws gouged deep furrows in the metal floor, sending sparks flying. Maya continued her deadly dance, staying just out of reach, her movements becoming more elaborate with each passing second. She was toying with him, and everyone in the arena could see it. "You know what your problem is?" Maya said, spinning away from another devastating combo. "You're too predictable. Left, right, overhead, sweep. It's like you learned to fight from a manual." "Enough!" Krex roared, and in his rage, he made a critical mistake. He telegraphed a massive overhead strike, putting all four arms into it. Maya saw it coming from a mile away. She sidestepped the attack and, for the first time in the fight, moved toward her opponent instead of away. What happened next took exactly 3 seconds, but those 3 seconds will be replayed on arena feeds across the galaxy for years to come. Maya's right hand shot out, fingers extended, striking Krex's solar plexus with surgical precision. The strike targeted a specific nerve cluster that existed in all Thrakri anatomy, a weakness known only to military xenobiologists and certain specialized units. Krex's entire nervous system seized up, his massive frame freezing mid-attack. Before the giant could even register what had happened, Maya's left hand followed, delivering a palm strike to his throat that collapsed his primary breathing passage. The sound was like a tree branch snapping. The third and final strike came as Krex began to topple forward. Maya stepped into his falling path and drove her elbow up into the base of his skull, targeting the cluster of nerve endings that controlled his motor functions. The impact was devastating and precise. The Bone Crusher, undefeated champion of the Proxima fighting pits, slayer of 47 opponents, crashed to the arena floor like a felled monument. His massive body convulsed once, twice, then lay still. The only sound in the arena was the hum of the air recyclers. 20,000 spectators sat in stunned silence. The referee stood frozen, his mouth hanging open. Even the announcer seemed to have lost his voice. Maya straightened up, brushing imaginary dust off her hands. She walked over to where Krex lay and knelt down next to his head. "Hey, big guy," she said softly, checking his pulse. "You're gonna be fine. You'll have a hell of a headache when you wake up, but you'll live." She stood and turned to face the crowd, her voice carrying clearly through the arena's acoustics. "Ladies, gentlemen, and assorted biological anomalies," she began, mimicking the announcer's earlier words. "Let me introduce myself properly. My name is Maya Chen, and I'm not just any human. I'm a graduate of the Seoul Military Academy's Xenobiological Combat Program. We call it the Know Your Enemy course." The crowd remained silent, hanging on every word. "See, here's the thing about humans that you all seem to have missed in your research. We're not just random primitives who stumbled into space. We're the species that spent 10,000 years finding new and creative ways to kill each other, and we got really, really good at it. When we finally made it to the stars, we didn't stop learning. We studied every species we met, cataloged every weakness, every vulnerability." She gestured to Krex's unconscious form. "Your champion here is a perfect example of Thrakri biology. Incredibly strong, nearly indestructible exoskeleton, redundant organ systems. But like every species, they have their weak points, 3 specific nerve clusters that, when struck in the right order with the right amount of force, can drop even the biggest warrior like a sack of rocks." The silence in the arena was deafening. Maya's expression shifted, her casual demeanor replaced by something cold and dangerous. "But that's not why I'm really here tonight. You see, 3 months ago, your people raided a human colony ship, the Harmony. My sister Emma was on that ship." The crowd stirred uneasily. This was not part of the entertainment they had paid for. "You took her, along with 300 other humans, to work in your mining operations on Kepler 442c. The conditions there kill most slaves within 6 months. Emma lasted for." Maya's voice remained steady, but there was something in her eyes that made even the bloodthirsty spectators uncomfortable. She was 19 years old. She wanted to be a teacher. "She used to make paper flowers and leave them on my pillow when I had nightmares. Emma never hurt anyone in her entire life." The arena, built for violence and spectacle, had never felt more dangerous than it did in that moment of quiet grief. "So here's what's going to happen," Maya continued, her voice taking on a conversational tone that somehow made her words more terrifying. "I'm going to work my way through your little tournament. Every fighter, every champion, every supposedly unbeatable warrior you put in front of me. And when I'm done, when I'm standing over the last one, I'm going to collect my prize money and use it to buy the freedom of every human slave in this sector." She paused, letting that sink in. "Oh, and one more thing. The next person who calls humans weak, primitive, or amusing is going to discover just how creative we can get when we're properly motivated. Emma's death requires an accounting, and I'm here to balance the books." The referee finally found his voice, though it came out as a squeak. The winner by knockout, Maya Chen. As the medical team rushed to attend to Krex, Maya walked toward the cage exit. The crowd parted before her like water. Alien faces showing expressions that range from fear to fascination to something approaching respect. She stopped at the cage door and turned back to the arena. "Oh, and schedule my next fight for tomorrow night. I'm just getting warmed up." The door clanged shut behind her, leaving 20,000 spectators to contemplate what they had just witnessed. In the betting booths, the odds were already shifting. The smart money was beginning to back the small human female with the cold smile and the gentle hands that could kill in 3 seconds. Maya Chen had come to Proxima fighting pits for revenge. What she was about to unleash would change the galaxy's perception of humanity forever. The hunt had begun. ## Part 2. The Reckoning. The news of Krex's defeat spread through the Proxima station like wildfire through dry grass. Within hours, every cantina, market stall, and back alley gambling den buzzed with whispered conversations about the human female, who had embarrassed the galaxy's most feared fighter. The arena's management, sensing an opportunity for unprecedented profit, immediately began hyping the next bout as the event of the century. Maya sat in her assigned quarters, a sparse room barely larger than a ship's cabin, methodically cleaning her gear. Her movements were precise, economical, each action serving a purpose. She had learned long ago that preparation was the difference between victory and becoming another name on a memorial wall. A soft chime indicated someone at her door. Maya didn't look up from her equipment check. "Come in, Zara." The door slid open to reveal Dr. Zara Voss, the station's chief medical officer and one of the few people Maya trusted in this nest of vipers. The Altarian woman's blue-tinged skin and silver hair marked her as non-human, but her eyes held the warmth that Maya had found so rare among the galaxy species. "How did you know it was me?" Zara asked, settling into the room's single chair. "Your footsteps," Maya replied, finally looking up. "Everyone else on the station walks like they're either hunting or being hunted. You walk like someone who actually cares about where they're going." Zara smiled, but concern shadowed her features. "Maya, I've been reviewing the footage from last night. What you did to Krex, that wasn't luck or desperation. That was military-grade combat training. Your point. My point is that half the station thinks you're some kind of miracle, and the other half thinks you're a threat that needs to be eliminated. Neither opinion is going to make your life easier." Maya resumed her equipment check, her voice casual. "I didn't come here to make my life easier, Zara. I came here to make someone pay for Emma's death. And after that, what happens when you've worked your way through every fighter in the arena? What happens when the authorities decide you're too dangerous to leave alive?" For the first time, Maya paused in her work. "Then I suppose we'll find out how dangerous I really am." The next evening, the arena was packed beyond capacity. Spectators hung from the rafters, crowded the aisles, and pressed against the protective barriers. The betting pools had reached astronomical levels, with odds fluctuating wildly as rumors circulated about Maya's true identity and abilities. Her opponent tonight was Vex Stallion, a Korth warrior whose species had been bred for warfare for over 1,000 years. Standing 7 feet tall with natural armor plating and razor-sharp bone spurs protruding from his arms, Vex had earned his reputation by never allowing an opponent to last more than 30 seconds in the ring. "Enjoying the attention?" Vex asked as they faced each other in the center of the cage. His voice was a low growl, barely intelligible through his species' natural vocal limitations. Maya studied him with the detached interest of a scientist examining a specimen. "I'm enjoying the opportunity to add to my education. Your species was involved in the raid on the Harmony, weren't they?" Vex's eyes narrowed. "Korth warriors serve whoever pays best. Your colony's ship was just business." "Business?" Maya repeated thoughtfully. Emma was just business to you. 300 lives, just a line item on someone's profit statement. Weak species deserve their fate. The strong take what they want. Maya's expression didn't change, but something in her posture shifted. The casual confidence was still there, but underneath it lay something colder, more focused. I see. Thank you for clarifying that. The referee gave the signal, and Vex immediately launched himself forward with the speed and fury of his warrior race. His bone spurs whistled through the air where Maya's head had been a microsecond before. Unlike her fight with Krex, Maya didn't dance away from this opponent. Instead, she moved in close, staying within Vex's reach, but using his own momentum against him. The Korth warrior's natural armor made him nearly invulnerable to most attacks, but Maya had studied the species extensively during her military training. She knew that their armor plating had joints, weak points where flexibility required thinner protection. More importantly, she knew exactly how much pressure was needed to exploit those weaknesses. Vex swung a devastating haymaker that would have pulverized a normal opponent. Maya stepped into the attack, catching his wrist and using his own forward momentum to hyperextend his elbow joint. The sound of Korth bone breaking was like a gunshot in the arena. Before Vex could even scream, Maya had pivoted behind him, her hands finding the specific pressure points at the base of his skull that controlled his species' nervous system. 3 quick strikes, each applied with surgical precision, and the massive warrior collapsed like a marionette with cut strings. The crowd was silent for exactly 2 seconds before erupting into chaos. Half the spectators were on their feet, roaring approval. The other half sat in stunned disbelief, trying to process what they had just witnessed. 2 fights, 2 victories, both ending in less than 10 seconds of actual combat. Maya stood over Vex's unconscious form, her breathing steady, not even winded. She looked up at the crowd, her voice carrying clearly through the arena's acoustics. Business, she said, her tone conversational. That's what my sister was to you people. That's what all humans are to you. A resource to be exploited, a species too primitive to matter, too weak to defend itself. She walked to the center of the cage, addressing the entire arena. I want to tell you about Emma. She was studying xenobiology at the University of New Geneva. She could speak 17 languages, including most of yours. She spent her free time volunteering at refugee centers, helping displaced species adapt to life on human worlds. When the Harmony was attacked, she was in the ship's medical bay, treating Korth children who had been injured in an accident. The arena was dead silent now, 25,000 beings hanging on every word. Those children were refugees from the Centauri conflict. Emma didn't know them, had no obligation to help them, but she stayed with them for 3 days straight, making sure they recovered fully. That's who my sister was. That's the weak primitive your people worked to death in a mining pit. Maya's voice remained steady, but her eyes held a fire that made seasoned warriors shift uncomfortably in their seats. Here's what I've learned since arriving at Proxima Station. The raid on the Harmony wasn't random piracy. It was a coordinated operation, sanctioned by the Galactic Trade Consortium, approved by the Sector Council, and carried out by mercenaries hired through this very arena's management company. A ripple of unease swept through the crowd. This was information that was supposed to remain buried. Emma died because 300 humans represented a profitable opportunity. We were captured because our species lacks political representation in galactic affairs. We were enslaved because no one thought we were strong enough to retaliate. Maya smiled, and the expression was more terrifying than any show of anger could have been. You were wrong about that last part. She turned to address the arena's management booth, her voice carrying even to the highest levels of the structure. I know you're listening, Director Korthak. I know you brokered the deal that put Emma and the others in those mining pits. I know you took your percentage of the profits from their labor. And I know you think your private security force and your political connections make you untouchable. The crowd turned as one to look at the management booth, where Director Korthak sat surrounded by bodyguards, his reptilian features contorted with rage and fear. You want to see what a primitive human can do when properly motivated. Maya continued, keep sending fighters. Keep putting obstacles in my path. Every champion you throw at me just proves my point. Every unbeatable warrior I put on the ground demonstrates exactly how wrong you've been about my species. She paused, letting the silence stretch until the tension in the arena was almost unbearable. Or you can make this simple. Release every human slave in this sector. Return the profits stolen from the Harmony's cargo. And maybe, just maybe, I'll be satisfied with the damage I've already done to your precious arena's reputation. Director Korthak activated the arena's communication system, his voice booming through the speakers. You dare threaten me, human? I own this station. I have armies at my command. Maya laughed, and the sound echoed through the arena like breaking glass. Armies? Director, I'm a graduate of the Seoul Military Academy. Do you know what humans call a war against overwhelming odds? She looked directly at the management booth, her smile widening. Tuesday. The crowd erupted. Some spectators fled for the exits, sensing that the entertainment had taken a dangerous turn. Others pressed closer, hungry for blood. In the management booth, Director Korthak was frantically making calls, his political connections suddenly seeming less reliable in the face of a human who had just publicly threatened the most powerful criminal organization in the sector. Maya walked toward the cage exit, then stopped and turned back to address the crowd one final time. I'll be here tomorrow night, and the night after that, and every night until justice is served, or there's no one left standing to oppose me. You wanted to see what humans are capable of when you take everything from us. Her voice dropped barely above a whisper, but every being in the arena heard it clearly. You're about to find out. As Maya left the cage, she passed the medical team working on Vex. The Korth warrior was regaining consciousness, his eyes focusing on her with a mixture of fear and something that might have been respect. Will I walk again? He asked, his voice barely audible. Maya knelt beside him, her expression softening slightly. Yes, the damage is temporary. You'll have full function back within a few weeks. Why? Vex asked. You could have killed me easily. Maya was quiet for a moment, then spoke softly enough that only he could hear. Because Emma would have wanted me to show mercy. Because despite everything that's happened, I'm still trying to be the person she believed I could be. She stood and walked away, leaving Vex to contemplate the strange human who fought with the fury of a demon, but possessed the restraint of a saint. In her quarters that night, Maya sat in meditation, her mind focused on the battles ahead. She had come to the arena seeking revenge, but what she had found was something larger, a chance to change how the galaxy saw humanity, an opportunity to ensure that no other colony ship would meet the fate of the Harmony. Outside her window, Proxima Station glittered with million lights. Ships arrived and departed constantly, carrying news of the human fighter who was systematically dismantling the arena's champions. Word was spreading to other systems, other worlds. The galaxy was beginning to take notice. Maya smiled in the darkness. Let them come. Let them send their strongest warriors, their most advanced technology, their greatest champions. She would be ready. Emma's death had required an accounting. Maya Chen was just getting started collecting what was owed.